So that is, my mindset was, no, I'm not going to take it. I will continue to be outside. That event opened my eyes. And I realized at that moment, I'm not going to get help from these people. If I'm going to be helped, if I'm going to get off the street, then it's going to be me that gets me off the street. And I, I immediately thought, if they could offer me a job like this, because I love the elderly, I love people, period. So if they could offer me that sort of a job, I can get that sort of a job on my own. And then I started hitting the pavement. I started going to different organizations, putting in applications, calling people, just really trying to get my foot in the door in that industry. And I did. In July, I was called in to interview and for orientation. I went, I signed up, and then nothing happened. Oh my gosh, I was so devastated because I just knew when I had gone for that orientation, this is it. My life has changed. I'm going to be able to make some money in a couple weeks. I will be in there. Now, to be fair, the lady did tell me that they weren't in a rush to put me in the system because they were pretty saturated with people, but they needed some people on standby. So her having said that, she did say it's going to be a couple weeks before I put you in. So I'm thinking, okay, 2 weeks. August, I'm in there. But August rolls around, crickets. I hear nothing. And I am a proactive person. So I called them. Hey, this is Gabrielle. I came to orientation on July 3rd or whatever it was. And I'm just following up to see where we are in terms of, an open position. Oh, well, we still haven't we haven't gotten you in the system completely yet, but I plan on doing that by the end of the week. Really? So I mean, I was a little disheartened. The end of the week came and I still heard nothing. Most of September went by. I called a couple times. They didn't have anything for me. And finally, towards the end, I think it was like the last week in September, they had an opening. Somebody could not make it to work and they called me to see if I could come in. Yes. I'm like, yes, I will take it. And so that was the beginning. I went in to fill in for that person, and they started putting me on the schedule from that point on. And so I worked from September all the way through October, and I think the first week in November. And I realized, in first week in November. So that was the beginning. I knew that if anyone was going to help me, it was me helping me, which took me full circle back to the very first day that I left, when I left my family's home. And I said, I have to do this on my own. And that's really what it boiled down to. I had to do it on my own because the organizations did not seem to be there to help me with that permanent housing. Now, this is just my experience. I'm not saying this for everybody. This is just for me. There are some people that I have spoken with that went through Salvation Army and some of the others and were able to get housing. They had to do a year at the facility, and then after that year, they were provided an apartment for, I think, 6 months to a year where they didn't have to pay any rent or very little rent. And it was like a subsidized rental agreement. And then after that, then they would be on their own. So that's absolutely great. That just wasn't my experience. But I have spoken to people who have used those services So, I mean, it does work if you're willing to do that. It's just that wasn't my path.